Well, one of the biggest things to remember about the Bible is that Jesus saw through their crap. I'm not Jesus, but what I'm getting at is that Jesus knew when Satan was manipulating the Bible verses. And I'm going to take it a step further. The Satanists know when they're manipulating Bible verses. They made a choice to do that. I might just bring out a different computer and explain what I'm talking about. I'm going to go and give a couple examples. Forcing people to give their personal identifiers out. I mean, that's what the real reason why they have hidden cameras. They already know that they're recording people's voices saying the word spelled Y-E-S. They already know it. And they already knew that my voice being recorded saying the word spelled Y-E-S is what my identifiers have done. Same thing with acting dumb about telling me to click on a website and knowing that I'm not trained in what is called information technology or whatever it is, dealing with computers, and basically forcing me to give my personal identifiers like my IP address. And then same thing with radiating my DNA for no known medical procedure. They know that they're not medical doctors, and they know when they intentionally harmed my DNA by radiating my DNA for no known medical procedure. Another example is when I haven't been given the results of medical tests. That was premeditated. Another example is lying to me by telling me that I have to fill out a piece of paper in order to talk or to speak to a medical doctor or a dentist. It's just more ways of forcing me to give my personal identifiers like my handwriting. Also lying because government phones have caller IDs, and just acting dumb. They made a choice to be that way. That's my point. Same thing with acting deaf because government phones have ringers. Same thing with telling me that I need to call back, or make calls because I'm not a stockbroker. And another thing is don't think that what they do is by accident. It's not by accident at all. They intentionally chose to do what they did. Whether it was to add rat poisoning or what is called fluoride to water. Whether it be to value their time more valuable as my time, and acting dumb about what they've been doing. Same thing with bullying, and I want to bring up bullying because schools have a no bullying policy. Same thing with hazing me. Well, schools have a no hazing policy. But that also deals with what they tend to do is minimize the destructive impact of hazing and bullying. And it's just like the ones manipulating Bible verses and sticking to the Old Testament only. Well, I mean, that's manipulating. And not only that, what they're doing is they're lying. They're making it. What they're doing is they're making it. People think that Jesus was violent. Jesus was against violence. Jesus was against murder. Jesus didn't say, move over, give me the biggest stone, so I can murder the woman. No. I mean, just the whole absurdity as far as what they end up doing. What's really sick is I think on basically being forced to go where I didn't want to go and being kidnapped. And I think back on the harm. I'm going to give another example. Being told that I had to, that I was required to read books that I didn't want to read. One example is a book called Ruby Fruit Jungle. That book is gross. Also, the absurdity of calling pedophilia changing a diaper. People like myself don't define pedophilia as changing a diaper. The other thing is putting a statute of limitations on rape and pedophilia. People like myself would never do that. It's the same thing with the stealing DNA for no known medical procedure. Because DNA could be put on a crime scene for a crime that I didn't commit, and people have been murdered or what's called executed for crimes they didn't commit. Were later found innocent of crimes they didn't commit. But it's just like a dealer. A dealer always has to have control of the deck. And a dealer writes things up so only the dealer wins. I mean, that's basically what they've done. That's the reason why it's imperative to stay away from them. It does no good. When somebody wants to write up the rules of a game and force people to play games they don't like to play, walk away from them. Walk away from them. What they do is they rely upon people to keep forgiving them and keep forgiving them and keep forgiving them. And the thing is that they've been unwilling to give back all that they've stolen and extorted from accounts. While intentionally keeping books and classes and samples away from people. Like how to fill out forms correctly. Books like Uniform Commercial Code and classes on Uniform Commercial. It's just like the ones that are and what they do is they basically force people to contract with who they don't want to contract with. which violates like my right to contract with who I want to contract with. And not even giving me the exact definitions of the words that are being spelled, so that I can be able to make informed decisions. And what? Don't tell me that they didn't know where the hidden cameras were. That's the reason why after they ended up putting me down and after isolating me, I could go into example after example as far as the crap that they've done to me. And I think about the ones that are trying to provoke me and stuff. It's just like before I was the age of majority. What else would you call somebody that spits on me? What else would you call somebody that threw rocks at me? What else would you call somebody who bullied me? What else would you call somebody who isolated me and forced me to give my personal identifiers on what is called a pledge card and made sure not to disclose that pledge means to donate? Same thing with, just everything about it. But even treating me like I'm a computer. I'm not a computer. What do? They have the word call written on things. They use a phrase like nurse call button. They have it on the phones. But that's the reason why it's just like power of suggestion. That's like force. That's like forcing ideas into my head. It's just like the so-called nonprofits that they formed that are involved in money laundering or racketeering for insiders. They never sat there and disclosed what they were actually doing. They made it conscientious. They chose to do what they're doing. They chose to lie and say that I needed to pay for something when I didn't. That they chose to lie to me and tell me that I had to give them my personal identifiers to go into computers, kiosk, etc., that I don't even own. They knowingly lied to me. And not only that, they knowingly lied to me and told me that I had to give my personal identifiers, like my handwritings, and the things that I didn't write. They knowingly put me into second place via the declension of words. I'm going to go a step further. Jesus already knows who he's coming after. When Jesus was on earth the first time, he already told him woe. The word woe, if I was riding a horse, means to stop. Jesus already told him to stop. So when they chose to act deaf when they're not deaf, when they chose to act blind when they're not blind, they chose to do wrong. They chose to destroy people's lives. They chose to use people's personal identifiers and accounts that people like myself didn't even control. They chose to bully me. They chose to hoodwink me. They chose to con me. They chose to take unfair advantage of me. They chose to act deaf when they're not deaf. They chose to call rape a sexual preference. And the reason why I bring that up is because how else would they sit there and order a woman that had been raped to marry a rapist? Man, that's wicked. They chose to be wicked. They chose to oppress. They chose to open up demonic portals. I have a whole list as far as stuff goes. Those are just some examples of what I'm talking about. The best thing to do is choose to walk away. Choose to minimize contact whenever possible with them. They chose to say phrases like, don't bring anything, we got it covered, in order to justify stealing off of accounts for my benefit. And acting dumb about what they were doing. They chose to gaslight me. They chose to minimize what I was talking about by speaking, he didn't mean anything by that. She didn't mean anything by that. That they chose to act like they were my friends when they weren't. They chose to have cold hearts. They chose to act blind when I had tears streaming down my eyes.